Hello everyone, today we're going to set up a Batman Arkham type brawler. We'll be using a couple of hub actions combined with the melee module. But before we get started, I'd like to thank all of my Patreon supporters for the amazing support. This scene will be made available on Patreon. So we'll be using a couple of custom made integrations for Game Creator here. And first off, we have Orbit Camera. So we're going to get this first. So let me open that up. Leave a review if you can. I couldn't actually figure out how to do it. I know that's absolutely terrible, but I feel like I pressed every button and I didn't see anything to actually leave a review. So yeah, if you know how to do it, please do so. So download first, and as you can see, simple package, really nice. We can just open that up. Then let's actually open it up. So there we go, import, and we're done. That's literally all we have to do. Now I'm going to type in melee, and it's the melee upgrade one, made by Methaleus. He has plenty of reviews, so you know it can be done. I just don't know how. So we're going to download this as well. And these actually require a couple of steps in order to set this up properly, and we'll be doing that. So let's extract all. Yeah, let's go. Perfect. So let's have a look here. Let's close all of this down. So melee upgrade files. So open the melee files of your current project, go into each subfolder of the files I provided and use them to replace the files. Warning, do not copy, drag entire folders, only the files that are edited. Cool. So an easy way to do this is you go to your project and you go to plugin, game creator, and melee, and then right here you just do show in Explorer. And basically it gives you, the melee folder, so we know exactly where to look. So melee upgrade, and there we go. As you can see, we have mono and we have editor. So let's do editor first, and we'll just copy, paste, replace. Cool. Then classes as well. There we go. Yeah, in the meantime, I'm also copying over, I don't know how many projects to a backup drive, because my main Unity projects SSD was getting a tiny bit full. Cool. So we have the editor part. Now let's do the mono part as well. And assets. Let's grab these, paste. Yeah, replace. Classes. So this is only the one. Perfect. And then components as well. And there's only two of them. Perfect. So that's literally everything that's in the folder. So we're done with that part of the setup. It will take Unity a tiny bit of time, not all that much, as you can see, to go over those changes. Now the first thing we need to do is set up that camera motor, and luckily we don't actually have to do all that much. And for this camera motor view, I'm focusing more on how it was in Batman Arkham Asylum. That's still my favorite Batman game. I know not everyone will agree. So we have the default adventure camera, and what we're going to do is we're going to change this to the orbit camera. And the big difference here is that we have some pitch limits and some default pitches, and we're actually going to leave pretty much everything exactly the way it is. One of the things we'll change is we're going to change the initial zoom. We already have a pitch, which is why we don't have to change it. So it was set to default at this value, and it's actually incredibly similar to the angle we have with Batman Arkham Asylum. Now, Batman Arkham Asylum is zoomed in a tiny bit more. I think it's, 4 is more, a bit closer to it. But I do prefer 5 because it does give us a slightly better view. So I'm going to set it at 5, but if you want to, really have a similar type of angle, I think 4 would fit better, but it's up to you. Then we'll leave everything else, but we're going to turn off allow orbit input, because in combat mode, this will, we won't have any input on this. So if you remember Batman Arkham Asylum or any of those games, when you're just walking around, you have a different type of camera angle. And then when you go into combat mode, if you will, it will switch to an angle like this. So allow zoom is going to be turned off as well, and auto position behind, I'm going to set that to 0.5 and 1. So when we go into play mode, this is what we'll actually be getting, and we won't be getting anything if it doesn't assign it. So there we go. And perfect. So as you can see, it's repositioning quite fast, not too fast, so it's not incredibly snappy. It does give us a little bit of time, but once we're in the combat flow, we do want it to reposition. We don't want it to stay stuck, but it shouldn't be too snappy so that it becomes annoying, but it also shouldn't be too slow so that you're actually missing out on most of the action and it becomes, rather annoying to play. So turning the mouse in this mode, nothing will happen. This is our combat mode camera. So yeah, and just look up a Batman Arkham Asylum video of combat and you'll see this angle just matches really, really well. So that's the camera. Now let's go over to the next step. So now we're getting to the exciting part of the process. So let's create a new folder here. There we go. We'll call it melee. No, let's just call it Brawler. There we go. Brawler. We're going to create a new melee weapon. Brawler. There we go. We're going to create a new melee shield, and the shield and the Brawler, by the way, just to highlight, are the weapon parts, which can literally just be your fist. You don't actually need a physical shield, a physical weapon. So let's call this defense. We'll create our first a locomotion as well, which I'm going to rename, and it's going to be Brawler locomotion. And another one, simple state, and we'll rename this to Brawler defense. So one of the first things you'll notice is that we suddenly have this list of prefabs. We have this really, really long list of hit reactions, and well, this is still the same. So let's just rename this to Brawler. Let's keep it simple. I don't need a weapon description. We'll drag in the defense here. We'll also drag in the locomotion here. In defense, I'm going to drag in defense straight away. Where is it? Here we go. And I'm going to select a mask. Now, I'll keep it to the default one that's with melee examples. Now, a brief explanation as to why we have this mask. So the mask basically will only play the animations of the upper body, and that's exactly what we need, because we want to be able to defend and still move around. Now, if you want this to look good, that does mean that for the locomotion, you will need to make sure that the animations do match that pose. So that's why I will, for the locomotion, actually set up all of the animations that come with this pack. So I'm using Fighting Set 3 from Frank Climax. I'll put the link in the description. It's absolutely awesome. There's a 1 and 2 as well, which I'm sure are great. I actually never bought them. Maybe, you know, they actually are better. No idea. But I'll put the link in the description for the one I'm using, just so you can follow along. It has all of the locomotion animations as well. So, you know, idle, run, walk, etc. So that's the one I'll be using, and I'll be setting that up. So first things first, I'm going to be locking this, and I'm going to go to idle, type in idle, and I don't have that many animations, which is why I can just use this one. It's a new project I created, so you know, there's not that many things in there. So this is the one I want, and as you can see, this is the location. So Frank's Fighting Sets, animations, basic move. I locked this for a reason, because now I'll be going to animations here, going to locomotion, and I'll be dragging everything in. So I'll fast forward the video, because otherwise, you know, it just takes a bit too long. So you can pause and just do the same. I do want to highlight one thing, and for that I'll actually unlock it again. So when you look at walk, you need to make sure that these are turned on as well, especially the loop time. I don't even know if pose is necessary, but loop time needs to be turned on. By default it's not, so something to keep in mind. Now I am aware these are actually rude motion animations, which can create that little offset so that your player is hovering. Luckily, Game Creator 1.1.13 came out and has a fix for this. So really cool, really awesome. So yeah, I'll be dragging in all of the animations into the locomotion state. The names literally match as well, so you don't really need to look where to. So I'll fast forward this part, and then we can get started. Cool, so I have everything in here now, and as you can see, I'm missing tons now, because in combat mode I won't be using you know, jumping, etc. You know, which is something we'll address in a bit. There's no need to set up those animations if you're not going to be using them. There was no run right, only run forward right, so I used that double just to point that out, and everything else is set up, and as you can see, pretty simple. So what we're going to do next is let's unlock this. So we know it's in there, that's all working fine. We need to set up some prefabs. Now we'll take a rather easy route, so I'm going to go to plugins, melee examples, prefab, and I'm going to duplicate sword weapon, and then I'll drag that duplicate to the Brawler folder. Yeah, we can close this again, and let's rename this to prefab right hand. Now I'll explain why in a bit as well. So let's open this one up, and as you can see, we have a small change here. So we have a new bone selection, which is called bone, and then you select which bone you want. So really cool. So debug mode, I'll leave that on. Everything else as well. So first thing, we're going to remove that weapon. We're going to set this to sphere, and I'm going to make this a tiny bit smaller because it is just a little bit big. Now I will keep the weapon trail enabled just so you see the visual effect. No, it's not the best match because we're not using a weapon, but I just want to leave it enabled so we can actually see the impact of what we're doing. This is all fine. Now there was a couple of things that if you remember from the instructions, that we do need to change the positioning. So one of the things you'll see in a bit, when we go to the Brawler, we can't really position the location in the hand anymore, and the prefab actually does that, which is fine. It's literally just a different way to do it. So nothing got removed, we just have a new approach. So, you know, let's do that, and that's basically was this. and perfect. Everything else you leave to 0. So small adjustment, and then it actually fits pretty well. So this is going to be the right hand. Let's go back, and we'll duplicate this, and duplicate this. We'll rename this to left hand. Rename this to right foot, and we'll rename this to left. Oh, prefab left foot. Now all we need to do is just change those bones. So this was right foot, so this will be right foot. This will be left hand, so this will be left hand, and left foot as well. Now I do appreciate the fact that there's left arm and right arm as well, and when you look at some of the animations, for example in Frank Climax Fighting Pack, it actually makes sense to have it in there. Now in terms of actual impact, you know, I'm fine with just leaving it to just these 4, but it's absolutely awesome. It's added there. If you want to be really precise, definitely do it. You know, he created it for a reason, and it actually makes sense given some of the animations. So something to keep in mind. So when we go to Brawler, we're going to select 4 prefabs here. So right hand, right foot, right hand. I don't think the order actually matters much. Oh, sorry about that. Because we basically need to select in the animation clip, so in the melee clips, which one we'll be referring to. So I don't think the order in here matters all that much. So when it comes to sound, drawing and shading doesn't make a lot of sense if we're using our fist and feet, so I'm going to leave those sounds out. Audio impact, you know, this is a new project. I don't have any additional files, so I'll just be using the default what the melee module provides. Same for impact. I just don't have anything in here, so I'll be keeping those in. And I think knockback just uses the normal one as well by default. So we'll start off with, let's remove that. We'll start off with 3 animation melee clips is enabled. And that's fine, no condition, these will just be the default ones. And now when I press the plus, you will see that everything else got copied over as well, which is nice. And there we go. You know, we have the basics here set up. We need to create some hit animations and knockback clips as well, so we will be doing that. Instead of just using the defaults, the Frank Climax pack is just awesome. Everything is really in there, so really good stuff. Now we do need, when it comes to defense, we need to drag in the defense here as well, which I already did, but we didn't select the melee clip. And if I think if I just select block, we get this one, which is in the pack. This is not a one that is actually loopable. I do want to highlight that, and that's okay. You know, it's fine that it's not loopable. So I'll just leave loop off. Not the best clip. I'm sure his other packs have better defense block ones. Maybe there's one in here I just didn't see. But the default one, yeah, it's not a loopable, which is kind of a shame, but that's okay. So we have all of that now set up. So we have our default, you know, blocking as well. You know, we do need some reactions here. Same. So we need a couple of melee clips, block hit reactions as well. So there's still a couple of things we do need to add here. But you know, that's yeah, that's fine. So we'll start off with the actual melee clips. We want to have our first actual combo, and this is where it just gets really awesome. So combo, I'm going to name this combo 01, and then A. That way, you know, it's easily identifiable. And I'm going to be using this, and let's go there. So, you know, this is the location, and you basically have combo and combo cut. And combo cut is what we want to use. So basically all of this is one combo cut into 3 parts, which is just absolutely perfect. And there we go. So as you can see, we actually have a mix here. So left hand. Now I'll be using right hand, but you know, it should realistically kind of be right arm, but that's okay. It's in there, so you can do that. And then we have right foot as well. And this was something that without the melee upgrade from the hub, you just couldn't do with the default melee module. It was something that, you know, I attempted to do with some workarounds in one of my videos as well, which works, but obviously this is better. So that's what we'll be using. Make sure these are not looped, by the way. They should not be looped ever. So these are the ones we'll be using for our first combo. So really cool stuff. So we'll go back to Brawler, combo. No mask. I'm going to reduce the transition time a bit. Because, you know, our idle and walking locomotion animations do match, so the transition time doesn't have to be that big. We'll do extract root motion. We're going to drag in our player here, then press on preview, and we will see in our scene mode, we will see this now. So I can drag that down. And basically, once you go here, you can actually see the timeline. And this is awesome because it helps us basically set up when our hit reaction should be. And I think it should start here. No, tiny bit more. There we go. And then when should it stop? And here his arm is going down, so I'm going to stop that here. Perfect. So this is the active part, and then it becomes inactive. And yeah, perfect. Everything else we can leave as it should be, because by default it is set up for melee. So as you can see, you know, is attack, is blockable, all should be turned on. So cool stuff. Now when we're going to go to the next step, that's where affected bones comes into place. And these are the prefabs I was talking about. So if you did not set up a prefab for right arm, don't select it here. You need to have the prefab enable, you know, in your brawler weapon as well. So for the first one, this obviously is left hand. So we'll do left hand. Now don't duplicate it by using Ctrl D. Use this duplicate button here. So we'll rename this and we'll go with AA. We'll select this and we'll go to our second part of the combo. Again, let's hit preview here. Extract root motion. And this is the part where he uses this this hand. And yeah, this is where I want it to be active. Yeah, there we go. So let's reduce this a bit. So yeah, here it should be active until, well, not that much actually, just this part. And that's it. So that's the only active part here. So as you can see, using the preview feature is, you know, is a godsend. It's actually absolutely amazing it's in here. Otherwise it would be, well, quite frankly, pretty impossible to time right, or it just would take an immense amount of time. So this is not left hand, this is right hand, or right arm if you're going all out. And then we need the third part as well, which is going to be this one. And for this one, we'll be using right foot. So let's look up that clip. Extract root motion. Press preview again. And yeah, I'm going to keep this small just for it to be easier to time. And yeah, this is where I want it to be start being active until here. There we go. Cool. So this is the active part. Maybe a tiny bit sooner. Let's just do a tiny bit sooner. There we go. Cool. So we have that one as well. We're all good here. So that's pretty much all we have to do. Now we do have to drag them in, obviously. There we go. Now we have a couple of hit reactions here, which I do want to set up as well. So for that, I am going to cheat a bit because hit reactions is not something I do set up a lot. So I'm going to go to melee examples. I'm going to type in hit and just hit reaction. There we go. I'm going to duplicate this one and I'm going to drag it in. Yeah, like I said, it's been a while since I've set up hit reactions because, you know, they are a bit less exciting to set up, so it just has been a while. So yeah, the hit reaction, this is a default front hit. I needed to make sure that I knew what we were setting up here because I honestly just didn't remember. So let's see if Frank has a default hit as well. And yeah, now this is this is actually you know, absolutely perfect. As you can see, we have knock back as well, knock back, knock down. Really cool stuff. So let's go with just a mid reaction. I'm not really sure. Let's do high front. Extract. I'm curious, I do want to preview this, so let's drag in the player here. There's obviously no timeline, that's why I couldn't do it. Yeah, okay, let me do it like this. You know, I just want to see what it looks like. Okay, that's just default hit high. Okay, cool. So let's go back. I'm going to keep it simple though. I'm just going to, you know, front high. I'm going to do a front high, mid, and low, and I'll keep it at that. I'm not going to go more elaborate than that. I'm going to keep it rather simple. Let's keep this. There we go. So duplicate, duplicate. So let's rename this to front, mid, and front low. There we go. Mid front, where is front? There we go. Mid, extract root motion, and low, low as well. There we go. Now, as you can see, it's an amazing animation pack. There's just an animation for pretty much anything combat related, so you can understand why I pushed it, why I got this one. Really good stuff. So we have our hit reactions now. I'll be looping those. Obviously, don't do that. You know, if you have this animation pack, just set it up for everything. But I'm going to keep it a bit simple. So front. Okay, let's have a look because there's so many. Grounded, front, upper body, mid body, lower body, and behind. And you know what? That's actually pretty much it. Everything else is airborne. I'm not going to be lazy. I'm actually going to set them all up. Let's just do that. Reaction behind high, behind mid, and behind low. You know, it honestly really doesn't take that much time. Let me just do it right. So behind high, extract, behind low, huh, There doesn't seem to be one for low behind. That's weird. I'll just pick this one. I mean, it's, you know, that's just what it is. And then behind mid. Mid's behind. It's a bit strange about the low one, or I just didn't see it, and most likely I just didn't see it. Cool. So let's drag those in as well. As you can see, it took a couple of seconds, so I shouldn't be lazy and just do it. Upper body. Mid body and lower body. Now for frontal, for this is airborne frontal, I will be using the same ones. I know there's other ones as well. It will just take a bit too much time. So frontal, there seems to be two frontal low, upper. So I'm guessing that should be the lower body. I'm just guessing. Behind, and there we go. Now the only thing we do need is a knockback clip as well. It needs to be in there, and luckily, you know, there was one. So I'm just going to be duplicating this, and let's select knockback. We'll do knockback. You can do knockdowns as well. You know, it's up to you, whatever you want. And let's rename this to hit reaction knockback. Perfect. So really complete list. Did more than I originally wanted to do anyway, but doesn't matter. Now let's hit play mode. As you can see, we you know, we obviously didn't set a couple of things up, so let's do that first. So let's do a trigger. So game creator trigger, on start actions, draw, brawler. So for now I'll just keep it at this. So we'll draw it on start. We will have our melee straight away, and then next up what we need to do is select the trigger, and I'll be using the keypad for the brawler combat because we do want to do some mix match animation combos as well, and the keypad mostly resembles the controller in that sense. So key down, input melee A. And yeah, that's it. Both of these we can lose the sphere collider, we don't need those. And there we go, so let's start. Now one of the things I do want to highlight, you might have just seen actually that I didn't set the idle to loop, as I can see now. So I need to do that as well. But one of the things you should have seen that I was dragged into the ground a bit, and that's because of one of the new things that we have here in Game Creator 1.1.13, which is the last update that came out 2 days ago. By default, this was set to 0, and with a lot of the root motion animations like this pack, we were basically hovering. And in the root motion animations, you couldn't change that offset because, you know, root motion was baked in. Now, if you are, and which I'm doing right now, using animations all from the same creator, same pack that have the same offsets, you can have this really quick change, and basically, well, it should be minus 0.1, and as you can see straight away, it makes the adjustment. Maybe 0.1 is a tiny bit too aggressive. No, it doesn't seem like it. And you can see we're no longer hovering. So really cool little adjustment. Absolutely love it. But yeah, so now if I press 5, it's not doing anything, and I'm pretty sure I set it to space, which is the worst one. So let's set it to keep at 5. And as you can see, we have our combo set up. Now I'm going to go to scene mode as well here, and we're going to focus on our player. And as you can see, we suddenly have 4 melee components on our body for every part of the body that we set up. And let's hit 5. And as you can see, we're literally using the entire, the appropriate body parts. So left hand, right hand, and right foot. And maybe, yeah, this is maybe a bit too short, the second animation in the way it runs, but yeah, really cool stuff. So as you can see, we can set up the complete brawler like this. So really, really cool. So this is something that the default melee module just couldn't do, and I did a video on, a workaround for this, which worked. Obviously, it was a workaround, but it wasn't perfect. The melee module, especially with its animations, with its combo setup, just has tons of advantages. So, being able to actually use that to its full extent is just an enormous advantage. So really cool stuff here. So now that we've set up our first basic combo and we can actually do a full body brawler type setup, the next thing we need to do is set up some enemies and the targeting system. Now let's set up some enemies in our targeting system. Now we want our targeting system to be automatic and distance based. So based on distance, it should automatically grab the nearest enemy close to us and focus on that enemy. And it is actually quite a bit simpler than you might expect it to be, which is awesome. So we're going to start off with some enemies, and there we go. There we have our little friend. Let's rotate him 180. There we go. I'm going to make their bodies red so we can easily differentiate between them, and I just see that. There we go. So materials, red, let me just drag it on the body, it's just easier. There we go. So next thing our character needs is melee, and it needs a trigger. On start, it needs to draw the weapon, and I'm going to give them the same brawler weapon. There we go. We set it to Invoker. And yeah, I mean, that's it. So, let's, that's the first step. So what we need to do then is, have a couple more. So let's duplicate them. There we go. Duplicate it again. And there we go. And let me move them a tiny bit just so it actually feels like a scene for the moment. There we go. So pretty basic and simple. 3 enemies, 3 all the same. So they have the melee. On start, they actually draw their melee weapon. So let's see if that works before we go ahead and do something that doesn't work. So all works, cool. Now if we input our melee, we see the hit reactions, which is cool. They have the knockback. Awesome. So good start, but as you can see, there's no tracking, there's no targeting, it's just completely random, and if we hit them, good for us, but it's kind of a guess. Now that's something we want to change, and the melee module has the focus action. However, we need to make sure that we basically keep refocusing on the closest enemy. So let's start by, I'm going to make this really simple. I'm going to start organizing the scene a tiny bit because it's becoming a bit messy otherwise. So we have this one, let's do another one, and let's basically organize what we have a bit. So this is our first trigger. Let's rename this. trigger player draw weapon, trigger player input. There we go. So we'll need a new trigger here. So let's create one. Trigger. There we go. And let's call this trigger targeting. Perfect. Now we don't need a sphere collider for this either, so we can remove that. Let's drag it in. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create two sets of actions. And what we need as well is we need to give all of our enemies a tag. Now I'm going to use the enemy tag. If you don't have that, just add tag, and type in enemy. So I'm going to give them all the enemy tag. There we go. Then for trigger targeting, let's grab the first set of actions. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in tag, so nearest with tag, and we're going to store that in a variable. So I had this here, so let me pull that up again, so just so you know where it is. Preferences, variables, and let's create one. So we'll literally call this target. Plain and simple. Cool. Needs to be a game object, obviously. And we're going to store the nearest with tag in our target. You can change the radius to whatever you want. I'll keep it at 10. And it needs to be origin, the player, and the tag name is enemy. Now the wait time depends how fast and how precise this targeting is. So I'm going to do 0.5. I'm fine with that. Restart actions, because this needs to constantly happen. It needs to constantly track which enemy is closest. Then for the next part, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to start off with the 0.5 wait, and then we're going to select focus. So melee target focus, set target, and we're going to refer to our global variable. And obviously this needs to restart as well. So yeah, that's basically it. So I'm going to keep our this open just so you can actually see that our target is being filled in. So let's leave it on the side a bit. Going to hit play. And as you can see, let's move a bit. It's switching between who is nearest. And it's not just switching, it's actually focusing on them. So as you can see, we're focusing on him. And if we move back, we're basically switching our focus to the next enemy. Move back and switch focus on the next enemy. And that's it. And if you want this to be more precise, you can lower that time. Might be a bit confusing if you lower it too much, because you do want to be able to finish some of these combos, I assume. But that's not completely up to you. You can lower that time for it to be more precise. So that wait time is basically how fast it takes to find find who's closest and retarget to that character. And that's it. That's literally all there is to it. So just to give you an example, I can close this now. You see how it works. We're going to go to trigger targeting, and just for the sake of it, I'll set it to 0.1 just so you can see how fast this can actually be and how precise the targeting can be. So as you can see, it focuses really fast. We're constantly switching. Might be better, I'm not really sure. It's been a while since I've actually played Batman Arkham Asylum, so I'm not really sure how fast it should be. But yeah, maybe this works. Now if they're a bit more active and hover around you, I can imagine this being a bit too fast. But we'll keep it at 0.3. Let's find a middle ground. 0.3, that's fine. Cool. So now we have our targeting system. We have our melee combat. We can make it a bit more fun as well. So we can actually go to our Brawler folder. And we have this one. Really cool. So let's duplicate it, and we'll rename this to combo B. And yeah, exactly what it is. We're going to be adding our B combo as well. So let's open up. We'll pick 2. I haven't looked at those, so I'm not actually sure. Let's actually do that first. Let's have a look. Let's have a look into what type of animations we'd actually be playing. So, okay, seems a bit boring. And lower text. I don't actually really like this one. That's better. Okay, so combo 3 only has 2 of them. I do want another 3-part combo. I should have looked at that first. I don't like 2, so let's check 4. So 4 is a 3-part combo. That's nice. Okay, that's all, you know, fist work. We can do with that. That's fine. Cool. So yeah, we can keep that that combo. So we'll go with this one. So Brawler B. So it's going to be 4, 1. Extract root motion. We need to preview this on the player again because we do need to see what it looks like in terms of timeline. So let's switch. And let's revert this a little bit. There we go. We can make this a bit longer actually. You know, I made it really short with some of these, especially this one. I made it really short. I'm going to keep it a bit longer. There we go. I know it's a bit exaggerated, but you know, felt a bit short. So we'll do this one as well. I did this, yes I did. And which hand were we using here? So this starts with the right hand. Right hand, sorry. There we go. Duplicate. And this should be BB. Then we'll find the second one. Extract. The timing is right on. Yeah, okay, that's actually good. I think this is a bit longer as well. Cool. So we're good on that one as well. And then that's the left hand. We'll duplicate this once more. And we'll get our third clip. So the timing here is completely different. I do want it to start being active in this part even sooner. There we go. Yeah, I'll keep it the same. I'm fine with that. Cool. So we can add this to our brawler now as well. There we go. Let's change this to B. Oh. There we go. Awesome, so we have a full set here, and I'm going to try something I'm not even sure if you can do this. AAB, let's see, I think that should take priority. I'm not really sure when it comes to priorities. So let's just see if how that works. So we need one more. So let's duplicate this one. So this will be AAB. I'm not really sure if this will work, but it will be cool. So let's find something really awesome. So instead of the, instead of using that no. What is Fury? Okay, that's a bit much. Maybe we can get one here. That actually looks incredibly similar to the last one we just had. No, that's a bit weird. Again, really similar to what we already had. That's just an uppercut. Okay, so I'm going to pick this one. I know it's a bit random, you can pick whatever you want. But instead of doing that fist forward, we'll be doing a roundhouse kick, basically. So, unfortunately, as you can see, these are not properly named like Fighting Set 3, but that's okay. We can still do it. So, AAB. So, this one is a roundhouse kick that way, and AAB will be a roundhouse kick the other way. Let's leave it at that. That's what it's going to be. So there we go. Cool. So it's also right foot, so that's fine. Right foot. And we'll make it a tiny bit shorter. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. So we have our mix up here as well. So let's see if this actually works. Would be cool. I'm not really sure. If player input, so we can lock this one as well. Trigger, keypad, key down, keypad 6, so that's the one next to it. Actions, and then we'll copy this one over and we do B. Cool. So let's do B. So as you can see, B is it's nice. This is the A one. So let's do A. I'm sure it can work. I think it has to do with priorities. So maybe I'm just doing it wrong. So I think it has to do with priorities. So let's have a look. Into Brawler. Oh, I didn't actually add it. Well, did I? AAB. No, I didn't actually add it. Well, that explains a lot. Oh no, there we have it. I did add it, but it's still the same clip. So obviously it wouldn't play. So A. So it is actually playing, but it doesn't look that great, as you can see. So something is wrong with that animation. So it does work. So let me avoid any complications. Let me actually just you know, pick one from the same set, just to avoid any issue. Combo cut. Let's see if we have some cool ones in here. That looks like exactly the same yet again. Okay, that's a nice one. Completely different. We'll pick this one. So combo 8, 2. 8, 2. There we go. Extract with motion. Let's drag in our player, our preview. Yeah, I really like this one. This is really cool. Awesome. Cool. So we tried this one. Let's give it one more go. And perfect. So as you can see, I'm mixing it up now. I'm adding, twice keypad 5 and now keypad 6, and we have our mix-up combo. And as you can see, awesome move. We can still stay connected despite him being knocked back. And yeah, really cool stuff. So moving a bit back, and we're focusing on our new target here. Adding our new combos basically, because we have several ones we can use now. So really, really cool. And as you can see, all proximity based, similar to what Arkham Asylum or Spider-Man, games like that will do. One last change we can do, and that all completely depends on if you want it, yes or no. If you can switch, obviously, between cameras once going into this type of combat mode, which would simply be a trigger, an unseen start, or anything like that. So, hope you enjoyed this. I know it's been quite a long video, but it's something that people have often asked about, and yeah, I wanted to do that today. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.